Once upon a time, having a designer label plastered across your chest, bag, or shoes was the ultimate status symbol. These brands commanded premium prices and loyal followings, with people willing to save for months just to own a piece of luxury. But as we approach mid-2025, the landscape of designer fashion has shifted dramatically. Some brands that were once the pinnacle of style and exclusivity have fallen from grace, becoming relics of a bygone era rather than coveted status symbols. Today, we're looking at 15 designer brands that have lost their luster, examining why they've fallen out of favor with consumers, and exploring what this tells us about changing attitudes toward luxury and consumption. These aren't necessarily brands facing bankruptcy. Many still post impressive revenue numbers, but they've lost their cultural cachet and no longer command the respect or desire they once did. Let's start with perhaps the most dramatic fall from grace: Abercrombie and Fitch. While not a high luxury brand, A&F positioned itself as an aspirational label in the early 2000s. Their dimly lit stores pumping cologne and dance music created an exclusive club-like atmosphere. Their moose logo was everywhere, and their shopping bags were status symbols in high schools across America. But the brand's exclusionary marketing, controversial statements from former CEO Mike Jeffries, and failure to evolve with changing consumer values led to its downfall. By 2025, the brand has attempted multiple reinventions, but for most consumers, it remains tainted by its problematic past. Their recent attempts to rebrand as more inclusive and sustainable feel inauthentic to a generation that values transparency. Next up is Ed Hardy. In the mid-2000s, you couldn't turn on reality TV without seeing someone sporting the brand's tattoo-inspired designs. Founded by French designer Christian Audigier, who licensed the artwork of tattoo artist Don Ed Hardy, the brand became synonymous with the flashy, logo-heavy aesthetic of the 2000s. Celebrities like Madonna, Britney Spears, and the cast of Jersey Shore helped propel it to fame. But the brand's rapid expansion and association with reality TV culture led to market saturation and a perception of tackiness. By 2025, wearing Ed Hardy is seen as ironically retro at best, a fashion faux pas at worst. The brand's decline serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of overexposure and hitching your wagon to fleeting cultural moments. Third on our list is Juicy Couture. Those velour tracksuits with Juicy emblazoned across the backside were once the uniform of celebrities like Paris Hilton and Jennifer Lopez. The brand defined early 2000 casual luxury, but its failure to evolve beyond its signature product led to its decline. After being sold multiple times, attempts to revive the brand have largely fallen flat. While 2000 fashion has seen a resurgence among Gen Z, the original Juicy Couture has failed to capitalize on this trend effectively. Their attempts to recapture their former glory through collaborations and limited edition releases have generated brief moments of interest but failed to translate into sustained relevance. Moving into higher luxury territory, we have Dolce and Gabbana. Once a powerhouse of Italian fashion known for its Mediterranean-inspired sensuality, D&G has been plagued by controversy. Racist advertisements, homophobic comments from the designers despite being gay themselves, and political stances that alienated their Asian market have all contributed to the brand's fall from grace. While they still have some loyal customers, particularly in certain European markets, many celebrities and fashion influencers now refuse to wear their designs. The brand's decline illustrates how even established luxury houses aren't immune to the consequences of failing to read the cultural room. Fifth on our list is Michael Kors. The American designer built an empire on accessible luxury, with his MK logo bags becoming ubiquitous in the 2010s. However, this ubiquity became the brand's downfall. Heavy discounting, presence in outlet malls, and overexposure diluted the brand's prestige. By 2025, owning a Michael Kors bag no longer signals the status it once did. The brand's trajectory highlights the delicate balance luxury brands must maintain between accessibility and exclusivity. Their attempt to move upmarket by acquiring Versace hasn't fully rehabilitated the Michael Kors brand itself in the eyes of luxury consumers. Next is Roberto Cavalli. Known for its bold animal prints and flamboyant designs, Cavalli was a red carpet staple in the early 2000s. However, the brand failed to evolve with changing tastes that moved toward minimalism and sustainability. After financial struggles and multiple ownership changes, the brand's relevance has diminished significantly. By 2025, Cavalli's aesthetic feels dated rather than daring, and the brand has struggled to connect with younger luxury consumers who prioritize subtlety and ethical considerations in their purchases. Seventh on our list is True Religion. These premium denim jeans with their distinctive horseshoe pocket stitching were once the height of casual luxury, retailing for hundreds of dollars and spotted on celebrities from Jessica Simpson to 50 Cent. But the brand's failure to innovate beyond their signature style, combined with changing attitudes toward conspicuous branding, led to their decline. After filing for bankruptcy twice, True Religion exists in a much diminished state in 2025. Their fall illustrates how quickly a brand can go from must-have to has-been when it fails to evolve with consumer preferences. Coach is our eighth entry. Once America's premier accessible luxury brand, Coach suffered from many of the same issues as Michael Kors: overexposure, heavy discounting, and ubiquity that diminished its prestige. While the brand has attempted to reposition itself through collaborations with artists and celebrities, it struggles to shake its reputation as a mall brand. By 2025, despite some creative collections under creative director Stuart Vevers, Coach remains caught in limbo. Too expensive for mass-market consumers, but not exclusive enough for luxury shoppers. Their story demonstrates how difficult it is to change consumer perceptions once a brand has been downgraded in the public imagination. Ninth is Von Dutch. Those trucker hats were inescapable in the early 2000s, worn by everyone from Justin Timberlake to Britney Spears. The brand leveraged celebrity culture to create a moment, but that moment was fleeting. After legal disputes and changing ownership, Von Dutch attempted several comebacks, but none stuck. By 2025, the brand exists primarily as a nostalgic reference point rather than a viable fashion label. Their rise and fall demonstrates the risks of building a brand around a single trend rather than a coherent identity or value proposition. Moving to number 10, we have Versace. This might be controversial, as Versace still has significant name recognition and was acquired by Michael Kors Holdings, now Capri Holdings, for $2.1 billion in 2018. However, the brand has struggled to maintain its cultural relevance despite high-profile runway shows and celebrity endorsements. The Medusa logo and Baroque prints that once signified Italian opulence now feel outdated to many luxury consumers who prefer more subtle signifiers of wealth. While Versace continues to operate profitably, it has lost ground to more contemporary luxury brands that better reflect current values around sustainability and understated elegance. 11th on our list is Guess. In the 1980s and 1990s, Guess jeans with their triangle logo were a status symbol. and their black and white advertisements featuring models like Claudia Schiffer defined an era of fashion. However, the brand's failure to evolve beyond its sexy, logo-heavy aesthetic has relegated it to the fashion sidelines. By 2025, Guess operates primarily through outlet stores and licensing deals, with little cultural relevance among fashion-forward consumers. Their decline reflects changing attitudes toward overtly sexualized marketing and conspicuous branding. Number 12 is Diesel. Once the epitome of cool with their innovative denim and provocative advertising, Diesel has struggled to maintain relevance in a market increasingly dominated by fast fashion on one end and sustainable, ethically produced clothing on the other. Despite creative direction from YPA Project's Glenn Martins bringing some renewed interest, the brand hasn't recaptured its former status. By 2025, Diesel exists in a diminished capacity, with consumers no longer willing to pay premium prices for their once-coveted denim. Their story illustrates how even brands with strong identities can lose their way when they fail to adapt to changing market conditions. 13th is Fendi. While still operating as part of the LVMH luxury conglomerate, Fendi has lost ground to more contemporary luxury brands. Their double F logo, once a subtle signifier of Italian craftsmanship, became overexposed through excessive licensing and counterfeiting. Despite creative direction from Kim Jones, the brand struggles to escape its association with the logo mania of previous decades. By 2025, Fendi pieces no longer command the waiting lists or resale values they once did, indicating a decline in desirability among luxury consumers. Their trajectory shows how even storied luxury houses can suffer when they become too reliant on logo recognition rather than innovation. 14th on our list is Burberry. The British heritage brand's distinctive check pattern became so widely counterfeited and associated with chav culture in the UK that it damaged the brand's luxury positioning. Despite successful rebranding efforts under former creative director Christopher Bailey and later Riccardo Tisci, Burberry has struggled to fully recover its prestige. By 2025, while still operating as a luxury brand, Burberry faces fierce competition from more innovative luxury houses and struggles with an identity that feels caught between heritage and modernity. Their story demonstrates the challenges of maintaining exclusivity in the age of mass production and counterfeiting. Finally, at number 15, we have Prada. This inclusion might be the most controversial, as Prada still stages influential runway shows and maintains a presence in luxury retail. However, the brand has lost ground to more contemporary luxury houses like Bottega Veneta and Loewe that better capture current aesthetics. Prada's intellectual, austere approach to luxury feels increasingly disconnected from a market that values emotional connection and clear storytelling. By 2025, while still respected in fashion circles, Prada no longer generates the excitement or desire it once did among broader luxury consumers. Their challenge reflects the shifting nature of luxury itself. From products that signify status to experiences that create meaning. So what do these fallen designer brands tell us about the changing landscape of fashion and luxury? Several key trends emerge. First, we're seeing a rejection of conspicuous consumption. The days of obvious logos and status signaling are waning, replaced by a preference for subtle quality markers recognizable only to those in the know. Brands that built their identities around visible logos have struggled to adapt to this shift. Second, ethical considerations now factor heavily into purchasing decisions. Brands with problematic histories or practices face increasing scrutiny from consumers who expect the companies they support to align with their values. This explains why brands like Dolce and Gabbana, with their history of controversial statements, have fallen out of favor. Third, exclusivity through price point alone is no longer enough. Today's luxury consumers seek brands that offer unique perspectives, authentic storytelling, and meaningful experiences. Brands that relied solely on high prices to signal status have lost ground to those offering genuine innovation and emotional connection. Fourth, the pace of change has accelerated dramatically. Brands that once could rely on heritage and tradition now must constantly evolve to remain relevant. Those that fail to read cultural shifts or adapt quickly enough find themselves relegated to the fashion history books. Fifth, digital natives have different relationships with brands than previous generations. They're less loyal, more informed, and more willing to call out inauthenticity. Brands that fail to engage meaningfully in digital spaces or that present inconsistent values across channels struggle to connect with these consumers. It's worth noting that fashion is cyclical, and today's forgotten brand could be tomorrow's hot revival. We've seen this pattern play out with brands like Champion and Fila, which went from athletic basics to sought-after streetwear through strategic collaborations and positioning. Some of the brands on our list may well find their way back to relevance through similar strategies. However, the broader shift away from conspicuous consumption toward more thoughtful, values-driven purchasing seems likely to continue. Brands that understand this shift, that luxury is increasingly about personal meaning rather than public signaling, will be the ones that thrive in the coming years. For consumers, this changing landscape offers both challenges and opportunities. The democratization of style means that true fashion leadership comes not from wearing the right labels, but from developing personal taste and making conscious choices. As the power of traditional designer brands wanes, individuals have more freedom to define luxury on their own terms. What brands do you think are next to fall from grace, and which ones do you think will stand the test of time? The fashion landscape of 2025 is more fluid and unpredictable than ever. But one thing is certain: the days of designer labels automatically commanding respect and desire are over. Today's consumers demand more authenticity, more responsibility, and more meaningful connection from the brands they choose to support. The designer brands that understand this shift will survive. Those that don't will join our list of once-coveted labels that no one buys anymore.